My name is Mike Byrne. I fill a lot of different roles. Currently in the hospital, I work as the operations manager in the lab. But on the side, I do personal training. I work over at Anytime Fitness over in Cottage Grove. So I don't promote Anytime Fitness in any of this. I mean, it's just a gym that I work in right now. I also teach human nutrition and human health at the University of Phoenix. So I kind of dabble in a lot of different things, and health is something that I think is very important. And something that I've been doing my whole life is working out in some form or matter. Also, believe it or not, I'm also a lieutenant colonel in the Army, and that's what got me into CrossFit. The Army is moving towards physical fitness. You've seen a lot of the younger soldiers nowadays aren't fit like they used to be. So the Army got involved in CrossFit training, which they kind of stepped back and now call it functional fitness, because what they're finding out, true CrossFitters end up usually injuring themselves because they take it to an extreme. So a lot of stuff that I talk about is CrossFit related. If you've seen CrossFit, it's not true CrossFit, it's more functional fitness. It's pushing, pulling, the normal thing that you do each day, but to get yourself fit. One thing we look at CrossFit also is your diet. So this is my agenda. We'll talk about what it means to be fit, different exercises that you can do to become fit, and also I finish up with nutrition. And rhabdoid, that's more for somebody who's getting real extreme. I'll just kind of touch upon it. Some of you may already be aware of it from your medical background. But something that can be very painful. People try to relive their glory days and go out there and work out like they did when they're in their 20s, and the next day or next week they can't even function because they're in so much pain. That's a symptom of rhabdoid. So what I'm going to do is talk about the functional fitness and what it means and what it's all about. Some of you have worked out, I'm sure, in some form or another throughout your life. There's a lot of different approaches to fitness. In fact, when I go on TV nowadays and I look at the different infomercials and commercials, it seems like early morning especially, it's like every other channel is some type of fitness that they're promoting. And I don't really promote anything specific. I promote whatever you will continually do on a regular basis. My experience is if you do extreme thing like, what's it, 90, PX90 or something, you work out like a dog for about 90 days. After 90 days is up, you're like, I can't do this again. And you go back to your old ways. The idea is to get something that you'll continually do for many years to come, that you can live with, you're comfortable with, and you're going to maintain your health. So one thing about it, what's good about it, it's open to whatever you like to do. It's constantly varied exercises, and that's really what it is. If you get bored of doing something, do something else. A lot of what we do is work with your main muscle groups. So when you're working with your legs, what are some of the things that you do naturally with your legs? Walking, stairs. You just mentioned a couple of them. Bending down, you bend down to get something. What's that? It's a squat. You bend down like this, and you carry something over your head, and you lift it up over your head. It's a full body motion. So it's all natural type motions, whatever you do. If you come to my classes on Tuesday, Thursday morning at 5:45, we start a little early. But that's all we're doing. We're doing functional motions. We add a little bit of weight in there, and you increase your level of exertion based off your level of fitness. So even if you're working with me, if I'm doing it 20 times and you only can do it 5, you only can do it 5. I mean, that's your level at that point. Eventually you work yourself up and you add a little more weight on it. So it's natural motion. It's not something you practice. Everybody knows how to do a proper squat. At least you learn about it when you do ergonomics. Because if you do this, type of lifting, everybody knows that's wrong. You're lifting with your back. When you're doing a true squat, you're coming down, you're keeping your back straight, and you're coming up. I mean, you're just bending at the legs. Your goal is to get your legs perpendicular to the ground, as we say. A lot of times, first people start out, they can't go down completely. I mean, that's pretty normal. It's over time you get more accustomed to it, and you get better at it, and you get more efficient. So the goal is to get your heart rate up and do it for a period of time. So does anybody know what the recommended amount of exercise per week is? What is the most acceptable? It could be varied. I'm sure there's different opinions out there.
90 minutes.
90 minutes for a week is what is, some would say, is the amount of workout you want to do. And honestly, from my perspective, that would be the minimum. 30 minutes, 3 times a week. That's the minimum. That'll get you to an extent where you're healthier than what you don't do anything. The ultimate goals you want to achieve is 5 times for an hour. So 5 times of working out, and you honestly want to get yourself up to where you have a good sweat. If you walk, some people say, well, I just walk for an hour for 5 days. My opinion, and there again, a lot of this stuff is opinionated, is that's not going to bring you up to a level of your heart, your condition that's going to get you where you want to go. You'll be good at walking, but you want to get it up to a pace that will allow you to sweat. Does that mean you got to go out and run for an hour? No, it really don't. But if you work your way up to that point, obviously, if you could run an hour, how fit do you think you would be? Pretty darn fit. I mean, and most people say, I can never do that. How many people here said they can run a marathon? How many people think they can train to run and complete a marathon? Yeah, you might get a few hands up. So there, for inspiration, there was a lady that I saw that she weighed close to 600 pounds. Her goal was to run a marathon in 6 months. She started walking, jogging. Guess what? 6 months came and gone, and what'd she do? She made that marathon. She accomplished it. Most people would think that's impossible. She adjusted her weight, did a few exercises, and she worked it. So, high intensity, maximum power. True functional fitness, you're not so worried about pumping up a whole lot of weights. I know everybody's been to a gym. We got the guy in the corner sitting there grunting it out. Looks like he's about to blow an aneurysm. That is not what you want to do. I mean, you want to do is you want to maintain a level of fitness that you're comfortable with, meaning you can lift weights, but lift it at a rate that you can probably do a set of 10 or 15 reps. 20 reps if you want to crank it up. You're not necessarily looking for true super muscle strength unless that's what your goal is, but you want to look for muscle endurance. There's a subtle difference there. There's muscle endurance and there's muscle strength. And also when you're building that muscle endurance, you're also building cardiovascular fitness as well. So your goal is to improve your cardiovascular, your muscle endurance, and your muscle strength. All 3 of those. And that's what we support with the true functional fitness approach. So when you look at fitness, you have certain measures. And I know everybody in this room is probably familiar with all these. Your resting heart rate. You look at your heart rate, you're having a comfortable moment, you're sitting down, you take your heart rate. If you're up in the 80s and 90s, we all know it's probably your heart's working a lot harder in a resting mode than it probably should be. If you're lower down in the lower end, obviously your heart is more efficient in when it's running. I know my heart rate average right now for resting heart rate's in the 40s. It's like mid-40s generally. And that's something that I achieved over a lot of years of training. Blood pressure, we all know the blood pressure, 120/80, it's pretty much standard. Obviously, if you're more fit, a lot of times it'll be even lower than that. Body fat percentage for women, we mainly have women in the room, what body fat percentage is your tool?
22 to 26, something.
Yeah, give or take. I mean, if you want to be skinny mini, you can go a bit lower, but generally women have a little bit higher body fat than men. Men will generally range from, 18 to 22 generally is what you want to be totally fit. If you're an elite athlete, they get their body fat down to 10, 11%, on average. But that's another measure. Bone density, especially for women, you have a lot, especially as you get older, you have a tendency to lose bone. So one thing that actual pounding on those bones, putting that weight or that force on there can really make a difference and really maintain your bone density even later in life. So if you're totally sedentary and you don't use those bones or your muscles, what happens to them? They start attriting over time. They're less developed and it's a lot harder to get back to where you were. Triglycerides, we all know we want to keep those as low as we can. Cholesterol, everybody knows about the HDL, LDL. I won't spend a lot of time on that, but you want to keep that low as well. I went this morning and mine was aired out at under 100. I didn't think it was possible to get that low. Muscle mass. One thing, women are all worried about getting all big and bulky, but larger muscle mass burns fat faster. So you're more efficient burning fat if you have a little more muscle mass. And it's kind of a fallacy that you'll get all big and bulky, especially the woman, when you're lifting weights. It takes a heck of a lot of weightlifting in order to get, significant muscle mass for a woman. So don't worry about that. You can lift dumbbells and weights all day long, and you're not going to look like Arnold Schwarzenegger anytime soon. And I hear that all the time. Oh, I don't want to get all big and bulky. I said, don't worry about it. You won't. If anything, if you're really concerned about it, just higher reps, lower weights, and you'll never get that big bulkiness. You'll just get more of a lean muscle. Flexibility and performance. Obviously, if you had to perform some type of obstacle course, the better shape you are, the easier it'll be. So the thing that we look at, physical skills, I'm not going to spend a whole lot on this, but obviously the better fit you are, you'll be able to perform a lot better in each one of these categories of fitness. So we looked at the different measures of fitness in your body, and these are different fitnesses of how well you perform. So if we tested every single person on this, and then I worked you out in functional fitness for, say, 4 or 5 weeks to a month, or I said several months, you would probably score a lot better. And why do you think that is?
Build it up.
Right. Right, you're building up your stamina, you're building up your cardiovascular capability, your muscle endurance, muscle strength. Strength is coordination. Some people don't realize it, but the stronger you are, the more coordinated you are. So if you say you're a klutz, chances are you're probably not being as fit as you could be, and you're probably finding yourself a little bit awkward because you're not able to maintain your balance. And where does the balance all start from? Where does the strength start? And you hear it 100 times over again, core. How many people honestly really regularly work their core? Some people do. Yeah. If you do, you feel a whole lot better, and you're fitter, and you're more coordinated. So if you don't work out your core at all, you do like a typical person, and they move their dumbbells, they go running and walking and whatnot, and you never touch these muscles. If I did a physical assessment with you right now, I'd probably find you laying on the ground gasping for air, because those are some key muscles that really need to be worked out. So one thing, like I was talking about before, there's 3 energy cycles, and honestly, when you want to work on your fitness, you want to work in all 3. So the phosphagen, the glycolytic, and oxidative. The phosphagen is that first burst of energy. You're pushing out that weight, and it only lasts about 10-15 seconds. When they say 30 seconds there, but it's the short-lived energy. So it's high-energy phosphate bonds down at the cellular level. When you get into glycolytic, you ever hear about high glycolytic foods? You're just burning the initial stores of sugar. You burn it out, it lasts about a minute or two. So you think of a short-lived energy that's lifting up a weight. The middle range of glycolytic, maybe that's a sprint. And you sprint around a track. Most people are like, I couldn't sprint around a track even if you wanted me to. But that's generally about 30 seconds to a minute. If you're really giving all you got going around that track. That's your glycolytic. Then that wears out, and you're getting a true long distance oxidative. That's your old cardiovascular system. Basically, you're running the show. The more efficient it is, the longer you can go. So if I had to ask anybody right now, could you go out and just give it all you got and run one time around the track? How many people say, yeah. Okay, now let's add the distance. Let's go a mile. Okay, 5 miles. Sorry, but that's something you develop and you build up. But you're working in oxidative. But if you only work oxidative, you don't work the energy cycles, you're not fit. When I got into CrossFit, it was awesome at oxidative. I run 30-40 miles a week, ready for marathons, but I never touched the other 2. So I felt like a total weakling when I started working those other energy cycles. And it's taken me about 2 years just to get them up to where I feel comfortable now. So there is a different level of fitness in each of those ranges. So when you're doing true functional fitness, you want to work each one of those different types of exercises. So when I do exercise, I'll do some of those exercises with the dumbbells for 10 to 30 seconds. Just knock them out. Then we do a lot of oxidative. You do, what do you think of when you do oxidative types of exercises? Running, swimming. People like to swim, biking, rowing. You know, so I give different examples up here. Jump rope. I don't know about you, but I don't have any coordination in jump rope. But I think a lot of that comes with strength and that coordination and ability, so I'm lacking. So everybody has their strengths and weaknesses. Some people are strong and feel comfortable doing some things or another. The things that you really want to work on are the things that you struggle with. You want to keep developing those to become overall. So functional fitness is truly a means of getting overall fit. Just trying to achieve that level of fitness. You don't get really good at any one thing, you get overall well and efficient. Like I talk about weights, you know, you can use anything as a weight. Like I tell people that don't have a lot of money, just fill up milk jugs with water in them. Fill up different levels of water and use those as your weights. Sandbags. Anything you can think of that you can move weight around with. They sell now a lot of things, kettlebells, medicine balls, dumbbells, even they have weighted bars. I mean, whatever you can think of that you move in and around. And the key is just to move it at a repetition. So when you're squatting, coming up, you want to do it quickly and do it often. And as you get stronger and more fit, what do? Add more weight, add more repetitions. I got some big muscle guys said, you can't work me out. I said, okay, I'm going to work you out and I'm going to work you real hard with 20 pounds. That's all we're going to use. And that ain't going to do anything for me. 5 minutes into the routine, they're like, holy cow, I didn't think you could do that, but I'm spent. It's that whole, you know, muscle fitness, endurance. Gymnastics, when you get up to the extreme level of CrossFit, that's gymnastics. That's pull-ups. That's doing the rings. That's doing muscle-ups. That's doing stuff that only gymnasts can do. If you can achieve those different activities, then you know you've achieved the highest level of fitness there are. Because the CrossFit Games, I don't know if anybody's watched that on ESPN, their claim is that you're the strongest or the fittest on earth. So if you win that, you're the fittest on earth. So food, just touch on that a little bit. We may have nutritionists in here so you guys can beat me up all you want. But the key is you want to get to roughly that percentage. I honestly don't spend a whole lot of time measuring out everything, every little detail, whatnot. But ultimate goal that I strive for is the 40-30-30. And you notice that little less than 1% sweets? The last 2 years, I can honestly say I don't eat crackers, chips, sweets, cupcakes, candy, cookies, none of that. All out the window. I started at 205, now I weigh between 180 and 185 routine. I lost 20 pounds and still work out the same amount as I always do. The only thing I cut out was chips and crackers first. I lost 12 pounds in the first month just cutting out chips and crackers. It's amazing. I figured I just ran 10 miles. Oh, I can eat all the crackers and chips I want. Doesn't work that way. The big saying in here, you can't exercise yourself skinny. What a lot of people do is they'll increase their activity level. You go home and what are you going to do? Oh, I just worked out and had an extra piece of dessert. 500 calories in that dessert and you maybe burned off 400 calories. You still went up. So the whole energy balance, the more you eat, the more you need to burn in order to lose weight. I don't have any handouts in the zone diet. Sorry about that. I should have taken that off. But it's a different approach. So, rhabdoid, not going to spend a lot of time on it. You get increase in myoglobin in your body. That's from working out so hard, you basically tear down your muscle group. It's generally somebody that had some level of fitness, hasn't done it for many years, and starts up again. You can literally end up in the hospital potentially in just severe pain. They'll have to start running fluids through your transfusion just to keep you back to normal. So just be careful. Chances are you won't do it, but it's possible. So any questions? I went over my time.
So when we start your classes, then we just come with our tennis shoes, workout clothes, and then...
Yep, and just follow along as best you can.
Okay.
You know, nobody's sitting there judging how well your squats are doing, how many you're doing. Just try to stay up with the program. And as time goes on, some of the people I've been working with me right now, they've stepped it up tremendously, you know, just in a short period of time. Within about 3 or 4 sessions, you'll be having a noticeable improvement. And I guarantee you, if you do my program the next morning, the first time you do it, you're going to be sore. I hate to say it, there's not a whole way around it. Because if you haven't used these thigh muscles or your glutes in the last couple of years or months, you're going to be a bit sore. I can do 10 squats like this, You're going to be sore. If you haven't done those in a while, there's no way around it. You're just going to wake them up, as I always say.
Can you explain the difference? You have two different sessions. You have the earlier one and then a second 30-minute one.
Right.
Are they focuses different on each one?
Yeah, the first half hour I just focus on from the waist down. We do everything that works on the leg. My theory is, and it's probably some validity to it, is that half your muscle, or the largest muscle group, is in your legs. So a big thing we're doing is we're working those legs, we're working them hard to burn as many calories as we can. Because if you truly want to have a weight loss, that's what you want to do. You want to do high reps, heavy leg workout, because you're using a whole lot of muscle, you're burning a lot of calories, and you're improving upon a muscle that'll burn fat faster. So, and then the second half, then we focus on the upper muscle groups. The second largest muscles are your back, your chest, your shoulders, arms, and then we finish out with the core. So first half hour, all legs. Second half hour is waist up, and spend about half of it on the large muscle groups, and then the other half on your core. So we do a lot of different core workouts, leg extensions, butterflies.
Before we do this, do we have to go through an orientation at the Wellness Center?
No, just show up.
And you can get in? Isn't it a badge entry?
It is badge entry.
But any badge?
Yeah, mine works. I never got the this one in here.
It works on the second entry, not the first entry, the one that the public use primarily. If you go beyond that door to the second,
there was another entry. Okay.
There's another
there's
entry.
a second entry.
Actually, there's 3 entries, but use the middle one and you can badge yourself in.
Yep. Yeah, it's usually dark, pitch black in there when I go in your internal lights on.
Where is this, or when is this?
5:45 in the morning till 6:15, and then 6:15 to 6:45 a.m. Tuesday and Thursdays in the Wellness Center gym.
Your session, your attendance sessions will run for 6 weeks.
Right. You can start whenever you want to start.
And it's free.
Yeah. Because we just did 4 sessions, so if you want to hop in, say tomorrow, you could. I'm not going to say, oh, you can start,
So is it a continual 6-week cycle? So after this 6 weeks, are you going to start up again?
Oh yeah, I'll keep it going. I mean, honestly, I'm only getting a few regular people, so if other people hop in, if I had a whole group of people and they always came every time, then we keep cranking it up a little bit each time, but honestly that's not really been the case. So in a sense, you do what you can in the time that we have. I really haven't added much on yet. But I do know the people that have gone regularly are like, give me more, They're ready to step it up some more. So they just do higher rate of exercises than somebody just starting out.
So this is all done without any weights or anything?
The only thing we use for weights are dumbbells. And you can there's 3 pounds all the way up to 10 pounds.
Okay.
So most people, if they're just starting out, do it with the 3-pound dumbbells.
And the weights are available right in the
They're right
Center
in
for
the gym.
Wellness.
Yep.
They're different sizes, very.
Yeah. We got plenty of dumbbells, so I'd like to get us some more medicine balls, but we don't have any right now. But if you have any more questions for me, feel free to email me. I'm working here at the hospital. I can send you more information on some of the stuff I do have. I'll freely share it. I'm not into personal training to make a lot of money. If I did, I would certainly.
Do you incorporate stretching with any of your stuff, or is it mostly?
I have people stretch on their own in the beginning because there's so many different ways of stretching that I don't really incorporate it a whole lot.
Okay.
But there are areas I do PNF stretching in my personal training, assisted stretching. We obviously can't do it here.
No. All right.
Thank you.
Yep. Thanks for coming. Thanks for listening.